that. I get it ready, get it ready, get it ready, ready. I
We
get it ready,
live.
get it. We live.
We are live. We are
Don't you
live.
do
We
that.
late.
Chunk that stuff now, roll with it. Chunk that stuff now, roll with it. Chunk that stuff now,
Somebody share it.
roll with it. Hey, walk it like a dog. 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 Work dog. Work dog.
Hey, shout out to y'all. Make sure y'all say what's up as y'all come in the building. Make sure y'all hit that like button as y'all come in the building. This is the Chop Up. We are here. Hey, just a quick announcement. We will be moving to Mondays, right, y'all? Mondays. All right, so Mondays. We moving to Mondays. All right, so no more quarantine Tuesday. I know y'all love the quarantine Tuesday. Today quarantine Wednesday. No more of that. We going to Mondays. It's only gonna be quarantine Mondays. Y'all gonna be able to catch us at the beginning of the week. So y'all ain't gotta figure out what day we going live. We will be Mondays.
Cracking Lamar.
What's cracking Lamar? What's cracking Jaleesa?
What up, CC?
Mondays, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That's 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. And then whatever that is on the East Coast. I'm sorry, my East Coast niggas, but y'all be up late anyway. CC in the building. What's cracking? We're gonna give it a minute for y'all to come in here. You feel me? And then we're gonna get it set up. Yeah, let's go ahead. Everybody go ahead and share this, huh?
I didn't share it. I didn't share it that thing.
About to do the same thing.
Your Texas is just that Brian coming out of you there, boy. That Brian coming out of you. Hey, funny story. So when I was editing, as I'm editing the videos, Toya, the way that you say concerts is hilarious.
Nigga, because I say concert. You can feel how you feel about
it. Say it again.
It's a concert. It's a concert.
Yo, I wouldn't go say that. I would just go, you know what I'm saying? But
what changed your mind? Why you decided to say something now?
Because I love you.
Oh, okay. It didn't feel like love. It didn't feel like love. It felt like shade. It felt like shade.
No, never.
At any rate, I'm trying to figure out why I can't share it.
What you mean?
I don't know why it ain't. I don't know where my share button is. Where's the button that allows for me to send it out to the world? And anyway, listen, I can't share it, so y'all make sure y'all share it. I'm gonna go ahead and get it off, get it kick in, so we can get it in.
Let's get it.
We've already belabored this process enough. Good evening, good evening, good evening. What's going on, good people? This is your girl Toya G. It is a quarantine Wednesday, and this is the Chop Up Show. I'm happy to be in here in the building with some good people. We even got a little junior co-host who just snuck up on the camera real quick. So we about to do these introductions. I told y'all who I am. Who am I with? What's going on?
Man, y'all know what it is. It's the political plug. It's your boy Damo. And I'm sorry we late. It's my God, baby. Look at my God, baby. Look at my God, baby. But yeah, we in here. It's the Chop Up.
What's up?
Yeah, man. It's your boy George Lee, aka Consciously. Don't forget the Lee. Tonight, you know what I'm saying? I'm putting my daddy skills on, you know what I'm saying, on display. Because my daughter, she ain't having it. But hey, shout out to the people, man. GeorgeLeeSpeaks.com.
That way. Tonight, hopefully y'all feeling good, doing good. We are going to get into some topics that I think are super important. One has been just a social media, takeoff phenomena trend this last week. The hot button question at all. Black couples and relationships and Black people in general have been asking. So George, we gonna get it started with the chop, the snap chop on that.
Hey man, the snap chop.
I mean, Damo's up in with the political plug real quick, or the political chop rather, and talk about this election season and some things we need to be thinking about. And I'm gonna wrap it up with really getting into the heart of the situation with Black women and Black men, and whether or not we are really supporting each other, looking out for each other. Between Meg, between 50 Cameron, even Drea jumping in saying crazy stuff about the Meg and Tory Lane situation. On addition to some other things, right? I just want to figure out and kind of ask the question, or what's the status and state of Black men protecting Black women? So make sure y'all tap into all of these conversations. We're gonna get it started with a snapshot.
It's a little quick Snapchat. But you say my daughter says Cameron gonna be in her. So we are curious. What is y'all perspective, man? Who supposed to sit in the front seat? Your mama or your wife? The wife or the mama?
Who's supposed to sit in the front seat, the wife or the mama? So I want you to go first. I mean,
I'm gonna go ahead and defer to you. I think you are closer to this situation scenario than I am. You both have a wife and a mama.
That is true.
That's specifically my social location, like a motherfucker. So, all right. I had this conversation last night on the Over 30 podcast. Y'all make sure y'all go follow the Over 30 podcast. Me and my cousin Tez Carter, comedian in Kansas City. Shout out to him. So y'all make sure y'all go follow the page on Facebook. But we was having this conversation, and my position specifically was my mama sits in the front seat. Every day you sit in that front seat. Every day you ride with me, right next to me. And this is for me personally. I don't get to see my mama a lot. I left Kansas City when I was 18 years old, and I've never looked back. You know what I'm saying? So from that standpoint, I ain't got to spend it. I don't get to see my mama a lot. I don't get to spend. I done went like a whole year without seeing my mama. So when I'm with her and when she here, if I'm able to look over and see like, yo, moms, let me have that. You know what I'm saying? Let me have that. That's just out of respect. You feel me? Because whether or not you sit in the front seat or whether you sit in the back, it shouldn't be no question what you mean and who you are in my life. So with us all having that security, if I'm like, you know what I'm saying, Mom, go ahead, sit in the front, that shouldn't make you question your position in my life. You know what I'm saying? In no way, shape, form, or fashion. That should be secure. You know what I mean? And I do think it's a sense of insecurity and a competition between a mother and a wife that people think that people think exists, that's associated with this idea that it should be a distinction. Because I'm blessed enough to say that if my mama thought it would be a problem, she would sit in the back. And if my wife thought it was a problem, she would sit in the back. You know what I'm saying? So ultimately, and then at the same time, I ain't gonna lie, I'm a mama's boy. I love my mama. You know what I'm saying? Like, I love my mama. Ain't no question about that. So yeah, my mama sits in the front seat.
I think for me, and of course I don't have a wife, but I do have a mama. I'm visualizing this situation and really just gonna kind of give it the teeth that from my perspective it needs. My mama gonna sit where she want to sit, right? So if she got in the car first and she got in the back for the intention of being chauffeured around, I guess she's already in the back. So cool. If she in the front and I pull up on somebody who is my significant other and they want to get in the car, I don't see my mama getting up out of the car, moving to the back of the car. So somebody, like, nobody's doing all of that. Now, in a secondary scenario where my mama's being picked up, you know what I'm saying, or something like that, and maybe the person I'm with is already in the car, then, you know, I think based on where I'm from and, you know, kind of some of that Midwestern, Southern hospitality, whatever, generationally, I think a lot of people gonna go ahead and pop up and jump to the back. You know what I'm saying? Like, and whatever. But if you don't, I also don't see my mama freaking out, being like, oh my God, like, just she's gonna make sure the backseat is clean, make sure it's space, make sure there ain't stuff all on the floor, you know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. If it's a space, she just gonna go ahead and get in where she fit in. But I refuse to argue with either one of y'all when we are to go to one place. I'm not having a grandiose discussion, conversation, knock down, drag out, but I'm also not finna tell my mama's not gonna move. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you have that expectation, then you got to go. Cause like that just I don't see a world where I'm gonna be like, well, you know, mom, go ahead. Like, what I look like to mom, like, what do you even look like gesturing to the back for your mama to go move around like that? Like, it's just not a thing for me. So my mama gonna sit where she wanna sit.
Hey, George, before you answer this question, your wife is in the chat.
Yeah.
Your wife is in the chat.
So go ahead and drop the knowledge.
That's fine. That's fine. Who's sitting in the car first? Like,
I set up both scenarios. I think you have to answer both sides. I answered both sides of the situation, whether the mama was in the car first or whether the significant other was in the car first. So I think you handle both. Tough decisions, tough conversations.
Yeah, I mean, I know. I said my mama sits in the front seat. I know I said my mama sits in the front seat.
I like the case.
But, you know what I'm saying? But I mean, of course, I wouldn't ask. Of course, I wouldn't ask my wife, my wife to get in the back seat so my mama could sit in the front. I wouldn't tell her to do that. I'm saying if we all approaching the vehicle, if we all walking up on that, you know what I'm saying? And if I'm opening the door, like, you know, if I'm opening,
I said the same thing you said.
My mama getting in. Yeah,
So
George getting in trouble.
My wife is in the front seat.
I told you, nigga. Shout out to Faith Lee. I love you,
So I mean, there you have it. You know what I'm saying? You heard we've expressed where people was riding, where they sitting. I mean, as long as we get in there, I really am not about to deal with none of y'all having no knockdown drag out about where we're going. Everybody shout. Nobody going nowhere.
Before we move on, I do want to say the video that sparked this conversation is childish as fuck. That shit.
Hey, I'm talking. When I say so petty and childish and whack and lame, it's like
I refuse to watch it.
I seen the video. It was like I'm not gonna watch this whole video. This
I'm
is
not.
to me it's like some middle class respectability politics, but I'm in the hood type shit. Like it was just like I don't got time for this.
It did its job though. It did its job because it sparked the conversation. But ultimately though, I just feel like who would do that? Like my mama already in the front. My wife not gonna be like, ma'am, can you get out the front seat so I can sit in the front because that's my.
That's how I feel both ways. Like my mama wouldn't be like, she better get in the back seat. And my wife wouldn't be like, I'm not sitting in the back seat. It'd be like, you know. But at the same time too, I look at it like if you know your wife and your mama don't get along, then you probably should go drop one of them off there. Because to me, they ain't get along in that picture. Like something they ain't get along in that video.
What the fuck y'all like? Why y'all moving around together anyway?
I'm also old enough and indignant enough to tell my mama when I'm willing to tell both of y'all when y'all tripping and that I'm not gonna deal with this shit. So I think that might be a tiebreaker for me because I'm more than happy to be like, mama, I'm not. Here's what I'm not gonna do it, but respectfully, I'm not about. This is not about to be a point of contention when we are kind of going to the same place. Like,
respectfully.
with all due respect. So if it's really gonna be this much of an issue, we make other arrangements. I will get you a double XL Uber to get where you need to go. But if you're gonna come in here acting crazy, and the same thing for the wife or for the significant other, for my partner, I have a better mama, and I know I can choose a better partner than that. So I don't see myself getting into the situation in the first place. I feel like my meter of judgment,
not getting into the situation in the first place.
You know what I'm saying?
This is like,
if I feel like I know my mama like I think I know her, and I feel like I can pick like I think I can pick, ain't nobody finna put me through that shit.
Right.
So I never even watched the video because it was one of them dumb questions like $200 date, and the hot topic is whether a $200 first date is reasonable or not. How much should a first date be? That's been the hot topic, one of the Twitter conversations of the decade that they tend to recycle, as well as questions about submission, like the conversation about submission, or who do you feed first, your mom, your partner, or your kids? Like I'm sick of having these conversations. Everybody
to me, on some philosophical shit, it's like some Western hierarchical family. Like, how does the family hierarchy sit? And it's just like, man, I ain't got time for you know what I'm saying. I ain't got time to be what.
Faye says she might not talk shit to the mama, but what if she fire her ass up at home about having her to have to sit in the back? That is something you're gonna have to hear about, and that you're gonna have to deal with. You
Who said that? Faye said that.
Hey, read the comment.
let me pull out. My daughter was in here on what you call. Hey.
Oh yeah, I'll put her up there.
I'll
put her up there. I'll put her up there.
Hey.
She said she might not talk. Like
talk shit to the mama.
Let's replace she with
it's funny because that's something my wife would do.
Hey,
she said, nigga.
What can you do?
Yeah.
When you get to the house, everybody's making strategic decisions. Over for the best.
Toya, let's move on before we get this nigga George on the sleeping on the couch. We don't want to get this nigga in trouble, so let's.
Hey, baby, you got already be in the front seat anyway. You know what I'm saying? And I said who in the front seat first? You gonna be in the front seat first anyway.
Damo, over to you. Political.
Hey, so yo, let's get it cracking. We getting into the conversation today. We getting back into my bag. You know what I'm saying? We're getting back into the political chop. And what we're doing with the political chop today is we're doing an election season check-in. Yes. I know it's a lot popping. It's a lot going on in the world. It's a lot to be confused about, specifically politically. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna try to, you know what I'm saying, come together and create this understanding for this political chop and get a better understanding of what we're looking like, because we just a few days away from August.
Yeah. August, November, December, January.
So and like I've been saying, during any other time in history, an election, specifically with like somebody as polarizing as Donald Trump, any other time in history, that motherfucker would be the biggest thing that's going on. You know what I'm saying? So like we had a conundrum.
Anytime.
So I first want to get into it like this, right? Well, we know a lot about how people have been approaching this election has been from the standpoint of Trump's going to win. It's been a lot of nihilism. It's been a lot of pessimism associated with the Democratic Party and their ability to overcome a lot of the blatant, not just overcome the blatant racism associated with the Trump right, but also galvanize people enough to say, I want to cast a ballot for a liberal. You know what I'm saying? So it's been these issues associated that's been working with in Trump's favor, but we just ran into Corona. You know what I'm saying? That shit was no joke, and is without a doubt that outside of Republican sycophants and people trying to kiss Trump ass, ultimately that nigga did not handle this shit the way that he should. You know what I'm saying? So the way that I'm going to start this political chop off with is I want to ask y'all, I want y'all to give y'all perspective of y'all outlook of the election and what it was moving towards before Corona. Like once we knew Joe Biden was the nominee and what your perspective was before Corona, and then after, with the way it's been handled, the way that they've been responding to this shit. Hold on, nigga. You want to go first, George? George can go first.
Before Corona, I've been willing to put some money on that Trump 2020 was gonna be a thing. He was gonna win. That's what it was. Like, of course, I ain't want him to win. But before the pandemic, I definitely thought that he had the election in the bag. After the pandemic and during the pandemic, right now, after the pandemic, we're still in the middle, right in the middle of it. But since the pandemic, I think that a lot of the people that I thought that was like, I feel like they might be on the wall about it now, based off of a lot of the inconsistent comments that Trump has made, based on a lot of just different things. You know what I'm saying? Based off how he handled it. You know, going against the experts, causing a lot of issues in terms of different states and all that.
Shout out to the homie Zane. Yeah. But I mean, elaborate on that though. So when you say, are you saying people are starting to look at them differently? Are you saying people
I think that when it comes to the swing states and when it comes to a lot of the Trump supporters that was like Trump supporters because they didn't want to vote for Hillary, or Trump supporters because they thought the economy was doing good. I think that now I have a reason to believe that even some of the most loyalist Trump supporters is now kind of on the kind of negotiating that based off of how the president of the United States, the leader of this country, has been handling, a public health pandemic in terms of going against different scientists, in terms of not wearing a mask for umpteen days, in terms of causing a lot of disarray on the state level between different states from California all the way to Florida. You know what I'm saying? Now, I think that there are different swing states that might have a different a perspective on Trump, depending on how the coronavirus has hit that particular state. So I know that to me the swing states is the states that I feel like the states they not diehard Republican regardless. They ain't gonna vote red regardless. I'm talking about the states that kind of go contingent things. And I think that the handling of the coronavirus might be maybe a deal breaker for some. Maybe, hopefully, we'll see though.
Toy, pre and post COVID.
Pre-COVID, I was definitely in the group of people that was just like, this is a sham. It's all bullshit. We finna run it back. Go ahead and put my head under the sand and hope for the best. One of our favorite phrases here on the Chop Up, introduced by Adam Jackson himself. Go check out his episode where he was featured a couple weeks ago talking about black on black crime. But one of my favorite phrases I learned from him was healthy skepticism. And that's what I have about this upsurgence of enough that the conscious, that the logic, that this critical thinking skills of Americans was going to prevail, and that we was going to have dealt with this last election. It just stung too deep. I was too astonished by how, people end up voting for him. And, keep in mind, he lost the popular vote, but to see him kind of still be able to rise and win the ballot is something that blew my mind. But that's what makes me skeptical about, thinking that there's a lot of people who changed their mind about how he dealt with the coronavirus, or there's a lot of people who have been pushed over the brink because of how he dealt with it. I think that these same people have interests to protect. in other areas. So this pandemic is fucked, but they got the money to protect themselves and to stay healthy and stay safe. So they're gonna vote how they vote. And those are the upper class people, that upper 1% that have the financial interest to protect a lot of other things he's doing, right? Or you have, and I don't want to group in some up, all rural, poor, whatever, but a lot of those that conservative fan base is the people saying the coronavirus is a hoax. They're saying it's not real. They're saying what it's, so they want to push through, right? So you got two people with, if I just could be as very, plain and surface level as I can about the interest of a lot of his supporters, you got economic interest, you got political ignorance, and that's just a lot of them, right? So I don't know. I'm still not convinced that that's going to overwhelm anything. Part two of why I have a healthy amount of skepticism is what I mentioned and referred to with my first point, which is the Electoral College. He lost the popular vote. So even if we got enough people believing shit, we still have a very pervasive, structurally problematic system in the Electoral College that could not make any of this shit matter anyway. On top of my third issue with the way the elections is looking, which we're going to talk about in a second. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, it's a lot of shit that post-coronavirus, I want to believe that people got enough sense, but I'm not so sure.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to agree more with George on this one. In terms of I do believe you could be a bit more optimistic in terms of Trump losing, because in this post-COVID era, primarily because it's a lot of people who are suffering from financial burdens, losing their job, a collapse, or not necessarily a collapse, but a downturn in the economy. And the one thing that Trump was hoping to hang his hat on is the good economic numbers, the good job numbers, right? All of these things that are attached to people making money, because his biggest, his only achievement as president was the tax plan. And ultimately, the benefit of that tax plan was that people would see more money in a paycheck every day. But now people losing jobs. So now it's not even just a question of, am I getting that money from the tax plan? It's shit, like, I need work.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And not only I need work, but you got small business suffering heavily because PPP is being heavily used, like the payment protection plan.
Oh yeah, boy, it's been abused too, boy. I see somebody
heavily.
like for a Lamborghini.
Bruh, the thing about it, like over 80, I think they said something like over 80% of the PPP funding went to like corporations, people that are like $1 million corporations. You feel me? The Lakers had to turn their money back over. So there's nothing.
Gave their money back too. It was a couple different businesses that actually tried to do the right thing. That was like, we're not.
But you're trying to do the right thing in the context of people calling you out for getting money that you shouldn't have applied for in the first place. Now I get it, right? Businesses, apply for whatever, but small businesses can't look at Trump and say you've saved us. That upper lower class can't look at Trump and say you've made anything better. Like you don't have all the things that he would hope to attach himself to in order to push an election, in order to drive a message. He can't.
But the double bind that he's in, but the double bind that voters are in is like, ain't nobody you electing about to make no jobs appear out of nowhere. You know what I'm saying? It's not galvanizing the economy in the old school kind of traditional sense, or finding or creating more jobs or whatever. So it's kind of tricky, because you want to believe that he is kind of shit the bed so bad in terms of how he's dealt with the unemployment, how he's kind of guided Republicans, for example, to mediate and bridge the gap between a lot of these things. You would like to think that, you know what I'm saying, like, not voting for him is going to change some of that shit, but we still got issues with who controls the House. We still got issues with, a lot of things that I don't think a Democratic president is going to fix either. Dominique is clearly frozen because he's not blinking anymore.
I'm about to say, I'm just
like, why
boy, you don't get your...
He looked like he's looking at me real sideways about my opinion and perspective.
Definitely. I was like...
I don't know that a new president is going to instill faith in Trump supporters that they need to bridge and jump the bridge and accept everything else they already don't fuck with about the Democratic Party because he did so bad. Because they not finna fix all these issues and make it go away either. Biden ain't got no magic solution or no magic potion for any of this shit.
All he got is that he not Trump. That's the best thing he got going for him, is that he not Trump. And he not Trump.
He not Trump, and if he shut up and stop reminding people that he is Joe Biden, we might be okay. Like a few weeks ago, and I know Dominique got a couple more questions about the coronavirus, but we saw Joe Biden, I think it was last week, maybe say, Trump was our first racist president or something crazy like that. And it's just like,
yeah, I seen
even
it.
if you have a point, bro, you need better people on your side making sure your sound bites don't get twisted and turned, because we just don't need another reason to be like, nigga. Like, I'm sick of feeling like I'm a political fool. I'm sick of feeling like I really am. Like, I feel like such a dummy waiting and salivating over this ballot coming and knowing for a fact that I'm gonna have to cast it for somebody I don't give a shit about. Last year, at least I got away with not voting for Hillary Clinton. Yeah, I ain't vote for nobody. I didn't vote for a president. I was like, I'm not gonna. I get to ride by my ethical high horse this year, and we were reminded about this and have been along the way. But you really having to sit and eat and take some L's. You know what I'm saying? So it's a hard spot to be in.
Yeah. I think that how I look at it, it seems like it's a lot at stake though. Because I feel like me being in Oklahoma and, you know what I'm saying, being in Texas sometimes, and I feel like it's a whole bunch of Southern Republican red states. Shit, I think about like, man, it's gonna be if Trump was to lose, it's gonna be a lot of ugly Republican bad backlash. It's gonna be some violent backlash this country gonna see. You feel me? We mess around and be on the brink of a war type shit. I don't see Trump supporters being able to take the L and be like, I lost this time. It's gonna be system is rigged.
When you say on the way to a war, what you mean, like a modern civil war?
A modern civil war, but knowing how the media is now, they'll call it that, but they'll make sure it don't get to that. But they'll make sure they don't necessarily officially, you know what I'm saying, do it. Because I think like right now we already doing it. As many people as being what you call. Yeah, Dominique, where you at? Put them on speakerphone.
That's why I was just like, I don't know what's happening right now, but sure,
man. We don't know what's going on.
Look, I mean, tell me this, because I know Dominique was gonna get into this kind of conversation, and I'm gonna see what's up. But George, what's your relationship to voting? Like the chaos with coronavirus, the chaos with the USPS and mail-in ballots, the chaos with just general election season. Like, what's your relationship to the voting process right about now? You gonna do it? You're not gonna do it? What's up?
I hope they make it more accessible. I'm definitely gonna vote, but I don't know if I'm gonna vote in the presidential election. You feel me? Shout out to Davon. I must have watched the video of him on live one day. He must have said some shit like he gonna use or really I would say how I translate how I think about it, man. I feel like I think about being able to vote for all the other cabinets. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's still some state stuff, state offices and some local offices that you still got to vote for, you know. But leaving that particular line open and almost like marking both names out so they can't do, you know, Oklahoma do paper ballots. So just marking both of those names out. That way can't nobody change my ballot, none of that. It is marked out. You know what I'm saying?
So you gonna just try to foolproof yours, but you for sure mailing it in. Y'all let me look, and here's why I say let me look. Well, no, it look like y'all still having.
Yeah, Oklahoma. Oklahoma is like that. I feel like they ain't trying to. I feel like to me in my mind, man, I think Republicans is really scared of voter turnout, man. That's what I think I think they scared of voter turnout in anything, any way, shape, or fashion can increase that shit. They ain't messing with it.
I want to drop some knowledge for y'all since I asked George about mail-in voting and kind of stuff like that. We're talking about it. If you are interested in requesting a mail-in ballot and you're not automatically getting one, and you don't already have it set up, go to Barack Obama's Instagram and one of his latest posts. I kid you not. One of his latest posts right here has all 50 states, and it is the 2020 deadlines to request your vote by mail ballot. And so if you want to know, if you really want to vote by mail and you like, I don't know these dates, I don't know whatever, go check out the former president. We ain't really.
What did it say for Oklahoma for me?
For Oklahoma, your deadline to request a mail-in ballot is the 27th of October. So you got a little time. For Californians, it's the 27th of October as well. A lot of people, it's in the 20s of October. And like for places like Montana, which I don't think we got no listeners in Montana. Shout out to Montana if we do.
If we do, Montana.
Y'all don't have to do your business, or your deadline isn't until the 2nd. For me, I'm scared, bro. Like, I mean, I'm not scared. I'm gonna do my mail-in ballot. I'm gonna turn it in and submit it. Like you said, I mean, I think, but if we've been paying attention to what's been happening with the U.S. Postal Service,
that's the reason why I said, like, can I mark both of them out? But if y'all suck on one of them and still make it,
nigga, they gonna lose them. If they took the electronic boxes, think about when you was probably in elementary school, I think probably a year after me. I think 2000, I was in the 6th grade with Al Gore and who was it? And George Bush, right? And we saw that election go haywire and crazy because they lost ballots and had to recount and resort. And this is when shit was together in Florida or whatever. So now we're looking at this, bro. It's about to be mail trucks catching on fire. They're gonna be spontaneously combusting. It's gonna be all type. It's gonna be nonsense, dude. And I'm just
all type of into all the places that got predominantly people of color that Republicans have believe automatically gonna be on some lefty liberal shit. They're gonna try to make it where those ballots don't make it to the, you know what I'm saying, the ballot box.
Man, certain neighborhoods and communities about to get. It's just about to.
Listen, have y'all been bashing our audience with this pessimistic relationship to voting?
No.
Is that what y'all been in here doing?
No, you.
Well, I've been gone. Well, my internet then went out.
You're having realistic way.
Take Teddy Riley internet, nigga.
And I guess you go ahead and answer it, and then we can figure out where you want to go with this topic or with this chop from here. But I just asked George, like, what's his relationship to voting and to the voting process? Looking at the coronavirus and what's happening, looking at voter suppression being what it is, looking at these mail-in ballots, but everybody got something skeptical to say or feel about it. George, like, I'm a bubble out every box that I ain't filling in and make sure can't nobody come in and finagle my shit. I think they about to start blowing up mail trucks. Like,
damn.
Start
y'all are wild. Like, what are we talking about?
Toya said that was Toya idea, man. Toya the one that got, like, you feel me? I feel like Toya, you know what you went on me? You feel me? It's like Toya said some shit like, man, we on our way to Gilead. You know what I'm saying? We ain't get season 3 you know what I'm saying, Handmaid's Tale, so America gonna give it to us. Goddamn. We finna have Gilead. Trump finna instill the traditional feminist.
These people, right?
I don't get any of these references. I do not watch these shows. However, I do think what George is saying is what both of y'all are saying is a perfect pivot into actually the next question that I had, and that was, does the COVID response, right? Like, looking at how Trump specifically, everything that he did and everything that he represented, mishandled, you know what I'm saying, the coronavirus, got the United States looking bad. Does it change how you view the impact that presidential politics have on, you know, on the ground level, right? Because we see Donald Trump's bad decision making has a direct impact on the amount of lives lost compared to leadership of other countries. So since we know now, like, since we can look at some shit and see now, like, oh yeah, he fucked up and people dying because of it, does it change the way that the way that we understand the role that presidential politics plays on local politics?
I mean, does it shape and kind of change or play a role on how I look at it? Kinda, but we don't run into pandemics every day. Most of the decisions that the president makes, from the relationships that we're building and garnering and breaking at this particular moment with China, for example, shutting down consulates, investigating their representatives because they represent our state representatives, all types of crazy, just the shit we in with China. We're gonna feel that in very indirect ways, or ways that we'll start to figure out a little bit later, maybe see. But the average black people ain't about to be like, man, the issue with the Chinese is crazy, ain't it? No, they're not. Right? This is a very unique situation where we're talking about something that has not happened over the past 100 years or so. Like, just very different. And so,
but you know, but even like what you're saying that, right? Like, even when you say, even when you say. Hold on, because I'm looking at the chat, so I'm gonna put a pin in it right now. But even when you say, you know, what's going on in China, that's crazy, that it really don't have no local impact on shit. To be honest, it's actually the opposite, because the relationship that we have with China directly impacts how much we pay for certain goods, right? Like, so when Donald Trump was having his trade war with China, you feel me? Like the impact of the tariffs that the Chinese were levying in response to what Donald Trump was doing actually had an impact on how much we paid for shit like canned goods, for shit like milk, for shit, you know what I'm saying, for certain goods, and how that shit came across it. Well, not necessarily canned goods and milk, because that's shit that we get here, but it was certain shit that we was paying more for, you know what I'm saying? And Wilbur Ross, the Secretary of Commerce, was saying, "Oh no, it's not a big deal. You know, it's just an extra 20 cents here, 10 cents here, there. But like shit, but niggas on the bottom line, that shit add up.
Definitely,
you know what I mean? Ultimately, we are paying more for things that we weren't paying as much for because this nigga got this personal beef with China. You know what I'm saying? So it's like if you, so it's not even just, COVID, but it's also, you could look at little things and the local impact that it has when the president is making like childish ass decisions. But why Faith tell me to step my game up? Why Faith tell me to step my game up? What's he talking about?
No idea, man. I have no idea what my wife is talking about. But I think that.
Go ahead.
Faith said they get. Let me say that.
They gave us food stamps.
Faith said they gave us food stamps. So yeah, they heard you. They heard you. She bullshit. She must. I don't know.
I mean, but again though, so y'all saying
I think that for me it don't change. For me, I feel like it changed a little bit in terms of I recognize it's American lives, but I think that the president being in the president position, it seems like it always results in some lives being lost. You know what I'm saying? And too, not even this to be sensational, but I know that Barack Obama, you know what I'm saying, was able to successfully authorize a whole bunch of drone strikes that killed a whole bunch of, you know what I'm saying, Afghani, Iraqi.
But see, you doing what they do though, George. You doing what they do. That's a Barack Obama talking point, bro. That's a Barack Obama talking point. We're not talking about we talking about what happened with us, right? The impact that presidential politics have on local politics.
Yes.
You feel me?
So I was about to, if you let me keep on going, you know what I'm saying? From being a debater, you know what I mean? I know that local politics are questions just to where you at. You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't mean that what happened over there don't. I'm just answering your question. You feel me? This is my perspective right here. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? This take it or leave it, goddamn, it is what it is. You feel me? Does it change my understanding of the presidential shit in our day-to-day lives? Only a little bit because of the uniqueness of this pandemic. But do I know that the president can make decisions that result into lives being lost? Yes, I know that. That's how I'm answering that question. You feel me?
But I don't think it's as simple as just like lives being lost. We talking about like that's what I'm saying. Like we talking about what happens to us. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, a drone strike is one thing.
Sam, that's what they do.
A president,
but bro, American lives over the ones that American.
I mean, but that's not the same thing, though, bro. Because we literally, you talking about a drone strike. I'm talking about a pandemic where the president of the United States was specifically working against people understanding the importance of it. A president undermining, you know what I'm saying, health officials in terms of, what they should be doing, what we should be looking out for, what's important. Drone, that's a whole nother conversation. Drone strikes is a whole nother conversation. We talking about when they say what's important, like when we talk about the country, we talking about us. And it's not just saying, well, American lives.
Ladies and gentlemen, the link is death. The link that I'm talking about is death. And talking about how a president's decision
There's no link.
The power of being death is the link.
That's not a link, bro. That's not a link. Toya, chime in.
But
Toya, chime in.
Y'all got it. Y'all are in a unit dispute, and I'm just along for the ride. We do have a comment though. Lisa participated and said something that you should pull up on the screen. She said Trump fucked up his response, but is that worse than not caring about what happens to Black folk in general? Like it kills people either way. Presidential elections provide very little changes or make very little changes.
No, okay. So finally, we at the point where we can say this. Would Hillary Clinton have been sitting there saying the coronavirus is not a big deal?
Of course not.
Would Hillary Clinton have been ignoring the pandemic team that was created to deal with specific shit like this? Would she have gotten rid of it?
Of course not.
Going back to what I said, of course not. But going back to what I said previously, right now we have a lot of disarray between the federal government and what's going on the state level. Had Hillary Clinton won the election, I guarantee your ass what's going down in Oklahoma and what's going down in Texas, whatever Hillary Clinton said, the Texas governor and the Oklahoma governor was going to go the opposite direction, bro. The opposite direction.
Bro, but see, we talking about we talking about the difference of somebody being petulant and acting like a child and somebody empowering childish behavior. Hillary Clinton wouldn't have empowered it. So yeah, you talking about but see, that's what I'm saying. You talking about
every time she made it, every time she makes a statement where she backs up science and says that Dr. Fauci said X, Y, and Z, then the Republicans say, I'm not wearing no goddamn mask. That's against my life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. This means that every time, fam, you know how kids is inflared. Every time you say no, they're gonna say yes. Every time you say yes, they're gonna say no. So the climate will already be set, fam, because listen, the Trump supporters would have been even more pissed off, and the states that voted red would have even been more pissed off had Hillary Clinton won the election. So the definitely, I'm definitely. You saying no? You saying that if Hillary Clinton won the election,
I mean,
in states like Oklahoma and Texas, they would have been like,
yes. But I also think, for example, a lot of things would have changed in the way we handled it. Things would have been a whole lot more stringent, a whole lot sooner. So it ain't no space for you to get out there and protest. Do you want to know why? Because there probably would have been curfews and all types of shit that they were putting in on those protests. It would have been logic that with a public health crisis, let's look and see what's happening in other countries. And it probably been a whole lot more invested in the science. They say this is kind of how we need to approach this now. He was very laissez-faire and letting people get their shit off. He's been very open and very, express yourself, feel how you want to feel, as opposed to being hard line from the top down about how governments, local and national, need to handle this issue. So I can honestly say they probably wouldn't have had the space to get that off. You can go protest if you want to, and your ass would have been in jail like you was supposed to be in when you was out there acting a fool this time around, and they just let you do what you wanted to, but was arresting protesters for Black Lives Matter. Your ass would have been in jail on that shit, and you brought your guns, and come on, they would have been in jail. They would have been in jail, period.
And I think that it's still. I think that would have emboldened them, though. I think that would have emboldened them. I think that would have emboldened that base, and they would have just been. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. We got emboldened. Sometimes you need to ride out for the shit you believe in. So just like we got emboldened and statues were toppled and shit was tore up or whatever, it's equal opportunity American democracy. Get mad, get upset, and can deal with the confrontations that we have to deal with when we want our changes. You want some shit to change, you take it up with them. Same way we have to, but you shouldn't get no pass when you get to take it up. You should get. You know what I'm saying?
I think I can agree with that, but I think even in what you're saying, you recognizing there's a possibility for it still to got this way, but you just saying they would have came down with the hammer a little bit quicker.
Yeah, that's the difference. Now I want to say this, and then we'll keep this last question short, and then we can move on. Voting and the process of it, like the proximity. You know what I'm saying? Just like we're talking about the logistics of people casting a ballot and what that means for COVID restrictions, what that means for social distancing, you know what I'm saying? All of those things. So going into this 2020 election, how are y'all feeling about dealing with these increasing cases, not really seeing, you know what I'm saying, the light at the end of the tunnel yet, but knowing that within a few months, we have to have an election. So, you know what I'm saying? How do y'all feel about carrying it out? How do y'all feel about absentee ballots? How do y'all feel about, Trump's response to absentee ballots?
About when you were
what we're talking about,
is
okay.
Kind of how we were going to be navigating through that process. We're going to vote. I'm going to vote. Just to kind of reiterate, I'm going to go ahead and participate. Last year, I had the opportunity to be like, I ain't voting for one of y'all niggas. I'm going to vote for some local shit and call it good. This time, I'm going to go ahead and check a box, tick, Joe Biden, and we'll see what happens. But I am on team a vote for anybody else besides Joe is a vote for Donald Trump. And let's go ahead and get some shit moved around and out the way. And we'll deal with the next four how we dealt with these last four. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm going to turn my ballot in. And again, Barack Obama, at Barack Obama, get on Instagram. He has the dates on his Instagram page for the deadline for you to sign up for your mail-in ballot if that's what you want to do.
Yeah, man. And just to reiterate, I plan on putting in the ballot. Right now, I'm thinking about leaving the president part open. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna send it a message to the Democrats.
You in Oklahoma, we don't blame you. Yeah, you in Oklahoma, we don't blame you. Yeah.
So to me, I see it as being symbolic, as being like, hey, the Democratic Party didn't earn my ballot, the Republican Party didn't earn my ballot. Hopefully, I'll do better in 2024. We'll see what happens, but I'm leaving my shit open. You feel me? I think for that part, but of course, I think I still should participate in what's going on the local level, in the state level, in terms of the offices that's going to be, open and people running for those offices. I think I should vote with those.
So I'll say this, and then we can move on to the next top. we just got to be careful in like the people, like these fascists, these people that don't really care about the process and only really care about control. Watch out for how they try to manipulate this crisis as a way to limit the ability for people to vote. You know what I'm saying? Republicans know that voter turnout, like high voter turnout, means that they lose. Period. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So they've already been doing everything they can to keep people from voting. So they're going to use the coronavirus as an excuse to even further a lot of those efforts. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I'm going to cut that short to get to the comment that we got from Brian Manuel. He said, I understand Damo's and George's point. However, how do you evaluate proximity to harm and violence? Therefore, Trump seems to create closer proximity to violence for each individual decision he makes versus all the other options. How do you resolve choices when individual decisions can cause quicker reactionary violence than an alternative choice, which may still cause violence but creates more distance between an individual decision and direct proximity to violence? So ultimately, because that was well worded.
Definitely well worded. Definitely well worded.
But you know what I'm saying? But to condense it just a little bit, essentially, you know, that's literally the lesser of two evils argument. You're going to get death, right? Like, regardless of who the American president is, but certain decisions that are made on that presidential level are going to move us more in the direction of more death or less death. And I think that we all in agreement when we say that less death is always preferential to more death.
Right.
So you got anything you want to add to that?
No, George, go ahead. I'm still kind of chewing on the question and making sure I got the pieces of it.
I think that
I put it back up there.
Yeah.
I think that when it comes to thinking about creating so decide to cause the quicker reactionary violence than an alternative choice, which may still cause violence, but creates more distance between the individual decision and direct proximity to violence. I think that it still will be debatable in terms of the who, to me. To me, the who question still is the determining factor of how do we, you know what I'm saying, cut the distinction towards which way. You know what I'm saying? Because it's still like there is more international violence, you know what I'm saying, in terms of what was done right here than what's going on right here. We're just claiming a more value on the violence that happens on the proximity level because we're saying the proximity to us, which means we're centering the death and the violence around us. In every way that we're measuring it and comparing it is based off of us being the centerfold. To me, that sounds a lot like American hegemony and American leadership and the same hubris of thinking that was justified, used to justify things like dropping the atomic bomb, you know what I'm saying, in World War II, you feel me? Or whenever they dropped the atomic bomb, it was like, well, we can lose.
You're right, it's World War II.
World War II. We can lose 200,000 American lives, or we can use none. You know what I'm saying? But the none literally came with at the expense of causing this much, you know what I'm saying, Nagasaki, Hiroshima death for 60 years. So you see, we literally valued the American lives over the, you know what I'm saying, Japanese lives, and literally caused more Japanese death than it ever would cause. So when I say it depends on how we cut it, well, when we say the proximity of violence, it's like still to who? If we're going to say it to us, of course it's going to make it where we think that Trump is the worst thing since sliced bread because he's making us see the ugly face of white supremacy here domestically on American ground. To me, Barack Obama put a pretty black face on white supremacy where we was able to talk about change, but he still was doing all this shit. You feel me? I mean, the analysis is there. You can call it a speaking point, but you know, I know how to debate. So it's definitely a debate argument that I can back up in terms of the international violence that Barack Obama's presidency was able to cause. It was a lot of niggas that, you know, a lot of Muslim niggas, you feel me, that he was able to, you feel me?
I mean, but think about it, and this is why, I mean, I'm not like, oh yeah, I hardcore agree with George, but I think the romanticism of him dancing on Ellen and of him, you know, singing, like, you know, all of those great things that he did that were meaningful cultural moments for us, I think really decelerated my political acumen and my political development because we ended up being so infatuated with the narrative of the black president. We weren't hyper vigilant or even calculative of a lot of the crazy shit he was doing. I didn't have really meaningful confrontations, solid confrontations with the fact that he was droning and bombing a whole bunch of people in the Middle East and how that shit was shaking, how he was deporting hella American kids and kids in America, dreamers, is the same people he want to use as talking point. I wasn't introduced to those facts. until after I'd already fell in love with him. So then I'm in this conflicted position, like, and I do have to start to think about the violence over there versus the violence over here and how privileged I am to be so infatuated with the image and the narrative of Barack Obama that I'm not really seeing that he's more of the same, this face on white supremacy that George is talking about. So there is a very complicated, intense relationship with the question of proximity and how, as Brian phrased it, right, these alternative choices, which may still cause violence but create more distance between, I think the distance that Barack Obama created was created for him and was placated by him to like really get us to a place where we forgot to look closer. Now I'm more politically apt. I'm more interested in what's happening. I'm more willing to be hyper vigilant and critical of a Donald Trump. And I was probably hearing terrible shit Barack Obama was doing, but it was not latching on to me how terrible he was and embodying the position of the president, because I was bought into this alternative version of this black superhero that allowed me to ignore some of that violence. So that's kind of my take.
So this is where this shit get wild. Cause check this out. First of all, violence against brown countries is non-fucking unique to Barack Obama. It didn't matter who occupied that seat. There is a structural positioning towards those people that was going to play out fucking regardless. So that's actually the most non-unique portion of the entire argument.
That's a part of the argument.
Barack Obama didn't.
Nobody's doubting that this is the face on white supremacy argument that we're talking about.
But see, ultimately, like this is also whataboutism. This is really also.
No, it's not a whataboutism.
This is terrible whataboutism.
Bruh, the point of contention is not whether or not. You know what I'm saying? It was going to happen anyway. If we were already predisposed to do fucked up shit to brown countries anyway.
Because if we talking about just mere death, it's literally simplified, bro.
We're talking about the level by which it registers to us that we are aggrandizing, promoting, pushing, supporting violence in ways that are a little bit more benign to us, i.e. Barack Obama, or that are more blatant and direct to us, i.e. Donald Trump. So it's not really the former is not a question. It is very much so a question of the latter.
But see, the problem with that, even the analysis that you played out, is that you do understand that regardless, under Obama is better. Like, oh, we have more of these things that calm us or make us feel better. But then you got the violence that happens to these other countries with drones and shit. And then you say with Trump, well, it's this fucked up thing that happened with us, and we become more politically astute. But that shit still happens. So it doesn't matter if whether or not what's the proximity to us. Like that violence, how it plays out on us, because regardless of the order of the day is we gonna fuck them up. Whether we fucking up niggas in the United States or not, that's going to happen. That's why we cannot. That's why we can't skirt the conversation of what a president is making to talk about the drones and all that other shit and say, well, it's the proximity to us. Well, we're ignoring the drone. We're not. We're not ignoring the drones. We're not ignoring all of that other shit. But we know that shit gonna happen. Ultimately, though, how do we challenge what's actually happening to us in like right now? How do we change? Like less death is always better, regardless. So if they fucking over them and fucking over us, or we got a president that's making us feel better but fucking over them. The fucking over them is what's going to continue to happen. So we can't skirt the conversation for that. What was you about to say?
Nothing. We've been on this for a second. We've kind of moved and finagled and dipped and dived. So I'm not going to add more into it. But what I'll say is I'll be participating in ways that won't even necessarily, I think, be that. I don't know what California's state of appreciation for Joe Biden is, but I'm pretty sure it's strong.
Strong.
Yeah, California hates Donald Trump.
Now Toya is now Toya is shit than what you call.
Oh yeah,
into something that I came across today on the internet, boy, is the small pocket. I don't know, I ain't gonna call them small because I don't know how big that is. The conservative California pockets, man.
What you mean?
Like I came across like I'm talking about
because they here. Yeah, they here.
That are proud conservative Californians. Like I'm talking about groups.
Yeah, because it's a lot of rural space in California. So the same country, it's country Californians. Like I don't think they call them country.
I think it's hard to think about, but I could definitely duh. That's definitely hard to think about, but duh, it makes sense though. Duh.
Yeah, like niggas in Bakersfield and. You know what I'm saying? Like San Bernardino. And
what? Hey, would Chino Hills be Trump town?
I mean, it's Orange County and it's bread out there. So
probably.
I live close to
no, actually, Trump lost. Trump lost Orange County. Oddly enough, that was crazy because Orange County was traditionally conservative. So, but you know, that's the political chop. Of course, it's always more of a conversation to be had. But you know, not to belabor too much shit, not to belabor the same shit for too long. You know what I'm saying? Because it's much more time we would need to get into a lot more of the nuance. So we're gonna cap it right there. We're gonna go ahead and get into this next chop. Go ahead, Toya.
I'm gonna call this a social chop, and I'm gonna try to do it as efficiently as possible so that we can go ahead and call it a wrap. But I definitely do want to kind of have a conversation. And if I had to call this segment anything, when y'all look forward to running back, it's gonna be called Bro or Foe. And that's because I think black women right now are really looking at black men like, nigga, is you with me or is you like, are you a friend or are you enemy? And how should I deal with those things? And that's been definitely illuminated by a lot of different conversations we've been having. We're going to touch on the Meg Thee Stallion, Tory Lanez situation. If you don't know, Meg Thee Stallion, wonderful, beautiful black rapper, woman rapper who's on the come up, definitely doing her thing, and was recently shot, she said, in both of her feet. And the only person in the car with a gun was Tory Lanez. And they were in the car with Kylie Jenner, who got away unharmed. But ever since then, social media has just been swirling with a lot of disrespectful shit about the situation she went through. So they had that issue. And when I say disrespectful shit, I mean 50 Cent, Cameron, Drea have all chimed in and said problematic things. 50 posted a Boys in the Hood, Run Ricky Run meme with her face and Tory Lanez with the gun painted on it or whatever. And, you know, that was messed up. And then Cameron made a transphobic joke on top of joking about the situation, saying, oh, it must have found out, you know, she was a man, must have seen that Adam's apple. And that's why she got shot. And then Drea gets on there talking about it must have been some, I forget the reference that she used. But
nah, she said
Tina Turner.
Yeah, she said.
Oh, Whitney and Bobby. No, Whitney and Bobby.
Like now she said I want somebody.
That Whitney and Bobby.
That. I wish somebody could love me like that. When they shoot me in the foot, they love me so much.
Exactly.
Like,
but she referenced it to the Whitney and Bobby situation.
Yeah.
I predict that they had some sort of Bobby and Whitney love, you know, drove them down this snap-ass type road, and I'm here for it. I like that. I want you to like me so much you shoot me in the foot too. And of course, Megan gets on the internet like, you a raggedy bitch. Who jokes about somebody being shot? Like, you just kind of really fucked up. Drea apologized. Since then, 50 Cent has apologized for his comments. But it took Meg getting on the internet.
We ain't heard nothing from Tory Lanez yet, huh?
Ain't even heard from Tory Lanez.
Yeah, hey, it's a legal matter at this point. He can't say nothing, huh? Lawyer said he can't say nothing, huh?
Hey man, he had they was like he was the loudest nigga on the internet all quarantine radio, this, that, and the other, doing all types of crazy stuff. Now we can't find him. His birthday was this past week. Ain't heard a peep from him. You know what I'm saying? So it's crazy. Megan has to get all the way on Instagram Live, talk about the fact that she lost her mother, father, and grandmother. Ain't got nobody in her life. That she didn't hurt nobody, didn't touch nobody, didn't do nothing. And before she said that, the internet was joking, trolling, being messed up. Then all of a sudden, these apologies come out. And so it's been a lot of discussions about whether or not black men care about black women, or even are protecting black women in the way that they should. So I thought, what better opportunity to get into it but to talk to two black men that I spend a lot of time with on the show and off of it. You know what I'm saying? And so I guess my first question about this, because I don't want to retell the news now that I recap what's going on, is what were you taught about protecting black women? Like, kind of what were you taught, and has that perspective transformed over time? Where are you at with the whole logic or the idea, the big conversation about protecting black women? Like, what were some of them nuggets kind of put into y'all over time?
No, I feel like for me, I mean, I was raised, I had four grandmothers. You feel me? And that's including like extended family, great grandmother, all of that shit. You know what I mean? 4 sisters. So ultimately,
it happens to the best of us. George, what's up? What's your relationship to protecting
man? I was taught to. I feel like I had like 7 sisters.
Yeah.
So I think that I was taught like kind of explicitly to look after my sisters, but I think that I never really.
You're the
oldest. Yeah, oldest child. Yeah. And then, but I think that in terms of like black women, black girls, I feel like I wasn't explicitly taught to like protect black girls. I think it was just kind of like implied common sense type thing. You know what I'm saying? I think that I was more explicitly, you know what I'm saying, taught about, you know what I'm saying, like money over bitches, you know what I'm saying? Stuff like that, you know what I'm saying, in relationship to black women in terms of what I was taught. I'm just being honest.
Yeah.
I feel like it was more like implied common sense, like, yeah, protect black women. But I don't think that I never, you know what I'm saying, like I don't remember never receiving explicit messages from people like that, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I know, like, in terms of the dudes I was around, some of the older men I was around and the stuff I was listening to, you know what I'm saying, was, I feel like, sending out kind of different messages type shit.
Okay. And so when, I mean, and I won't think you would know like the day, the month, the year, but as things have started to change and transition, what's up? What has played a role in you kind of shifting it from money over bitches to, you know, you got a black wife, you got a black daughter, you are who you are, deconsciously, GeorgeLeeSpeaks.com, right? You are definitely an advocate for black women and black people in general. So how'd you kind of turn that corner? What did that look like?
Debate. I feel like debate, you feel me? I think debate kind of changed my
All right. Debate changed your
debate kind of changed how I think about stuff and relate to things, you know what I'm saying? So I think that it made it where I feel like I started filtering my thoughts and my relationships to different type of, I feel like, thoughts, you know what I'm saying, through different like values and meanings, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Is there a time, George, that you can like kind of recall where you caught yourself just like behaving in a way that you wouldn't have expected to toward a black woman, or really finding that compassion, or finding that, like, was it, you know what I'm saying? Like I've had specific moments where like my trans folks, you know what I'm saying, I really had a moment that I was like, damn, you know what I'm saying? Like I've learned, like I'm growing, like this is just really clicking for me. And I feel like I finally was the advocate and the ally, if you will, that I was supposed to be to these people. It was ever a moment like that for you where it's just like, this is finally real to me. I finally grown up. I've matured. I handled the situation way differently than I would have maybe before, or a different George at a different time in their life would have did something different.
Yeah. I think
think of a time.
I think that, see, man, I feel like a few years ago, before I started taking my social media presence more seriously on Facebook, I think I might have had a few debates with people, you know what I'm saying, like about like for lack of better terms, respectability politics and women in how they should dress. And I feel like I must have thought about it like, damn, I remember a point in time where I used to make it where my wife now, who's my girlfriend then, well, I ain't want her to wear certain stuff or do certain things, this, that, and the other. And I was thinking like, damn, think about, man, young George, but not like how you know what I'm saying, this, that, and the other. You feel me? But I'm like, that's when I noticed. And then I think that now, currently, right now, it'd be a lot of, I feel like, dudes that be switching up the code when it come to being a grinder and getting that bag. You know what I'm saying? The same niggas that was, I feel like, praising niggas for being pimps and saying, you know what I'm saying, all on the bitch or money over bitches, is now talking shit about fans only fans, whatever you call it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, OnlyFans.
In my mind, it's just like, to me, it's just like, it's kind of like some sucker shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, dang, so you was doing all this glorifying, making money and getting the bag and being able to this and being able to that. But look, hating to the point where you even gonna talk shit about the dude. Like you.
I thought hate wasn't cool. You know what I'm saying? Like I thought
it wasn't cool.
And I thought, you know, it was mega ultra super not cool to do some weak shit that, you know, and this is the language of the niggas in this mentality, of course not myself, that females do, or that, you know what I'm saying, like, or that you can do to another nigga, but you gonna do that to a woman? Like, I thought that made you weaker, or to seem less
definitely
cool.
What definitely. So I just don't get, but to be honest with you, to me, that showed me, though, you feel me, like, to me, like, some of the contradictions that I think in terms of how we conditioned and how we raised, in terms of how we orient ourselves towards towards women, period. You feel me? Especially black women. Because I think that it's a lot of things in terms of right now. I feel like a nigga could get right now on Shade Room, can write me down right now. Breaking news, some random rapper nobody cares about got grazed in a shot. You know what I'm saying? And niggas be like,
man, I don't know what's going on with the internet tonight.
Faith, I'm on a podcast right now. All right.
Hello?
Damn, she called me too much.
George? All right, y'all. We got technical difficulties I've been trying to push through and fight through, but I need to talk to black men about black women, and without them, I can't really have much of a conversation. So we might try to run this back a little bit later. Tap in, check in with the chop up. We might try to at least put that first segment out about the political chop. In the meantime, let me see. Jaleesa dropped a comment. A conversation that I saw on this was, can black people protect black women, black men protect black women when they are constantly in danger too, unless it's only about intra-community violence. And that's, okay. Black women and black men constantly having I think for me, black men and black women have to look out for each other. And so the misnomer that black men are uniquely targeted is also something that we kind of have to get away from. And I think as we look at what Black Lives Matter means in a lot of these movements, we're starting to see that black women are not as in the back or the shadows of this violence and receiving it as we thought. So yes, black men are in danger. They're being targeted. A lot of things are happening. I don't want to dismiss or minimize that. But I think people like Breonna Taylor and so many other black women, Sandra Bland, et cetera, show that black women are under siege and are being targeted too. And so we have to be able to look out for each other, right? I don't think we should play this zero-sum game or this, like we would say, intracommunal oppression Olympics, where it puts us in a situation to say black women or black men are being treated worse or better. We have to look out for each other. It's that dire of a situation. What I do want to mention on the way out before I end the show, if y'all still in here rocking with me, I'll go ahead and mention this. We are getting and hearing a whole lot about black men not caring about about black women, but there is another side to the story. If you all go to Lil Duval's Instagram, if you're ever interested, he shares a video of a woman, and Dominique was supposed to be able to pull it up, but she basically rides for black men and says, ultimately, in a nutshell, the reason why we don't, why we run black men through the mud, we talk so terribly about them, we accuse them of not caring about black women, is because we pay attention to what we want to pay attention to. We don't pay attention to a lot of the different ways that black men show up and show out, the ways that they're good fathers, the way that they are good members of their community, the way that they fight and work on a bunch of different levels to liberate and to protect and defend their people. And I didn't necessarily think that was wrong, but I was very curious about Dominique and George's take on that, because George had an interesting perspective he wants to share. But in thinking about, the other side of it, before I close it out, I do want to give a shout out to a young man by the name of, I'm about to close it out. I'm going to just mention this last thing and then we're going to go. But I want to give a shout out to @Flow349, who's on Instagram, and he's been making a lot of news and a lot of buzz lately because of a black woman. A black woman who lives in his community. I forget what city they're in, but her name is Jennifer McGlegan. And she's a registered nurse. She's a single mom. And basically her neighbors have been treating her like shit. She bought a house, improved it, really modified it, and did whatever she needed to do. She cuts the grass. She says she shovels the snow when it's bad. She really does a lot of work to take care of her home. And a lot of racist activity has been happening in her community. For example, and I want to go ahead and read what she put on her door, because she really breaks it down in terms of how she's being tormented and being harassed. She says, hello, my name is Jennifer, and I'm a single mom and registered nurse. My neighbors have been racially harassing me since I purchased my home. I took video footage to court and won $5,000 judgment for my videos. They have thrown human feces on my property, and it was recorded. They are now planting dead squirrels on my property, and have told me to go back to where I came from. They have their friends come spit on my property, and it was recorded. A blowtorch was taken to my home at 3 a.m. They have said that I can be erased. Their friends also threatened to get rid of me and my cameras. They walk around in the back with guns, and it was recorded. The police have said I need to be harmed for them to make an arrest. I fear for my life at home. You will hear prayers coming from my home. I apologize for the noise. Thank you. And that's on the big sticky notes that you stick, that the teachers teach with at Bible study camp and in the classroom, right?
Vacation Bible school.
You know what I'm saying? Vacation Bible school, like the big sticky, when you don't want to forget that. And she has them typed up on her door, holding her child. I brought this up to shout out @Flow349, who has been vigilantly for the last 18 days showing up in shifts, and other black men have joined him since then to defend this black woman's home. He said, this is what's going on, not in my community, not my neighborhood anymore. So 6:30 p.m. to 6 a.m., he's out there every single night, showing up, handling business, and protecting black women. And so we kind of touched on some of what I want to talk about, but I do want to kind of put a cap on it. by shouting out this black man and other black men who do not take for granted the opportunity to look out for people. I love Damo. I love George. A lot of the reason why is not only because we can get on a podcast and talk, is that if we in the streets and it's time for that action, they gonna show up. You know what I'm saying? Period, point blank. And I got confidence in that. They're gonna see stuff before I even see it and respond to it before I need to respond to it. And I'm blessed to be surrounded by a whole lot of black men like that. So, you know, bro or foe. I want to argue on the side of bro, but I definitely think that we got to keep this conversation going, but also keep it in perspective when we talk about, you know, black and brown, black women and black men looking for and looking out for and fighting for each other. So that's my take. Y'all made it back in here in the nick of time. Closing statements, closing words.
Spectrum sucks. My internet keep going out. It's been going out all day. That's part of the reason why we was late, because my internet was going out. But I'll say this, you know, a part of when you care about somebody, regardless of whatever point you're trying to prove, if they feel a particular type of way, your goal is then to do whatever you can for them to not feel that way. If you care about somebody, if it's about actually that person and understanding that person and having love for that person, even if you disagree with their overall perception, your goal should be changing that feeling. Which means doing things to show solidarity, to show, you know, I can be that comfort. I can be that shoulder. I can be that muscle. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to do that for you, even with that frustration. So, you know, brothers need to learn how to, you know, take criticism and just use it to just be better, regardless of how applicable it is to you. You know what I mean? Like, everything don't need to be taken personal. And ultimately, if it's about caring for each other, we can take that criticism from people we love.
Right on. Lee, anything to add before we close it out?
Man, only just try to change our orientation towards black women. You know what I'm saying? Pain and suffering, and you know how we able to acknowledge and understand how black women exist without pain and suffering. You know,
we gotta get better.
Because you know, in some instances, the understanding of a ride or die chick is like the capacity for a black woman to be able to take some pain and suffering. And you feel me? The more pain and suffering you can go through, the more ride or die you is. So that's what I mean by change your orientation. That's all I got.
The word of the day is misogynoir, right? Misogyny is the aptitude or the orientation toward being violent, harmful, dismissive, or just generally negative toward women, having a negative sentiment toward women. Misogynoir is that. And nowhere represents kind of the relationship that you have to black women in particular. And what we saw from Drea is that not only black men suffer from it, right? We can be in the same situation where we joking and hee and hawing about another black woman's pain, not really realizing that shit. Megan ain't said nothing about Tory, Cameron, or 50, but he said she had to call that woman out. She said that bitch is messed up for Joe, who jokes about being shot, right? Which shows you that misogynoir hurts even more when it's learned and so embedded that another woman can do it to you. So we'll probably get into more conversations about this, something like this in the future. But thank y'all for locking into the social chop. And shoot, this has been a chop up. Definitely stay tuned in with us. Like Dominique said, we're gonna be popping back in here on Mondays. Y'all can check us out now on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, on SoundCloud, on Stitcher Radio.
Oklahoma let me do it.
So yeah, we solid and we out of here. This has been a chop up.
Hey, it's the chop up.
Chop up.